If you enjoy today's content, then please consider supporting Top Hat Gaming Man on Patreon. Yeah! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Last week on this channel, we took an in-depth look at Sega's Project Earth, a development process that eventually led to the Sega Mega CD's release. In the earlier stages of this cycle, Sega were not actually developing a CD-based drive at all, and instead were working with Pioneer to create a Laserdisc add-on instead. I guess we could call this platform that was never to be the Sega Mega LD. Whilst the Sega Laserdisc add-on was never to be, that did not stop Pioneer in their own gaming endeavours, with the eventual release of the Pioneer Laseractive. Since last week, I have now had the opportunity to get my hands on one of these things up close, nice and personal, thanks to my good friend Quang from Wasabi Tech. In today's video, we are going to be taking an in-depth look at the system's history, its significance, and most importantly, some of the games. This is the story of the incredibly undersung games console known as the Pioneer Laseractive. Yeah! If we are going to be looking at the full history of this device today, I guess it's probably a good idea to take a look at the corporation known as Pioneer themselves. Pioneer is an entity which is still in force up until this very day. They are overall a well-known Japanese multinational corporation based in Tokyo, Japan, that specialises in digital entertainment products. This technology company actually started out as early as 1938 and started life out as a radio and speaker repair shop. Since the company's inception, the brand has gone from strength to strength, making various technological innovations along the way, such as the world's first separate stereo system in 1962 and the high-pack cartridge format in 1971. One of their more relevant innovations to this video though was the introduction of the first industry-use Laserdisc player in 1979. Rather than Japan, the Laserdisc format itself actually started out in the United States of America. Optical video recording technology on transparent discs was first invented in 1958 by David Paul Gregg and James Russell. The patent was purchased 10 years later by MCA in 1968, and Philips developed a video disc of their own 1 year later in 1969, which featured reflective mode, which had advantages over the transparent mode. By 1972, these two companies decided to team up, combine their efforts and publicly demonstrate their video discs. After a few years passed, MCA brought their first Laserdisc to the market in 1978, which was just 2 years short after the introduction of the ever so popular VHS, and a whole 4 years before the introduction of CDs. Initially, these huge discs were known as MCA DiscoVision, which possibly the most 70s name I have ever heard. This did not last long though, as Pioneer Electronics later purchased the majority stake in the format and marketed it as both LaserVision and soon after, of course, the Laserdisc. Moving on from both the Pioneer and Laserdisc stories of creation, now let's take a dip into the Pioneer's gaming endeavours. In 1983, as mentioned in the previous video, Sega Laserdisc hardware was produced, which is an arcade system produced by themselves which made use of full-motion video games, which were Laserdisc based. Also mentioned on this channel, we will cover this hardware and the games in depth down the line on here, but to stay on topic, these machines featured built-in Laserdisc players by either Hitachi and of course Pioneer. By the mid to late 80s, Sega and Pioneer began working on the Mega Laserdisc add-on for the Mega Drive system, which we covered in depth on here last week. If you want to hear this part of the story, then watch the Sega Earth video when you get the time. Ultimately, for various reasons, which I covered on here previously, this platform was completely cancelled for a number of reasons. However, none of this stopped Pioneer ploughing forward and releasing a gaming platform of their very own. This monster is the Pioneer Laseractive model CLD A100, which was first released in Japan in September of 1993. This is by far one of the largest gaming devices I have ever held in my hands on this channel, and literally dwarfs many other platforms which are considered to be on the rather rotund side. The best way I could illustrate this to you was by stacking these well-known systems on this rather delectable tower of power. As you can see, it is probably twice the size of the Philips CDI, 4 times the size of the original Xbox, and 8 times the size of a Sega Mega Drive. This thing really is a beast. Further, for this, I noted in the last video that a Sega Mega Drive Laserdisc add-on would have looked ridiculous, so here is a size comparison with what Sega opted for instead with their CD-based Mega CD add-on. It's all rather amusing really. So now we have finished fat shaming the platform, let's talk a bit about what this bad boy actually can do. As expected, the system can play Laserdisc based movies, and even a variety of Laserdisc based games too. It is of note that the platform had a further ridiculously impressive function too, in the fact that the platform was modular, meaning that you can buy these crazy things known as pack modules to insert inside of your system. One of these packs was specifically for karaoke, which is not that interesting for the audience of this channel, however the other two were far more appealing. One of these packs allowed the Laser Active the ability to let you play both Sega Mega Drive cartridges and Sega Mega CD games straight onto the system, bypassing any reason to need to own the Mega Drive or its add-on if you purchase this platform, and this was all officially licensed. The module also had its own controller port and came with a Pioneer branded ultra unique 6-button Mega Drive controller, which looks particularly spiffing if you ask me. The outrageousness of the Laser Active does not stop there though, as you could buy a further pack which allowed you to play both PC Engine games on the platform and PC Engine CD based games on it too. Once again, this module came with a unique looking PC Engine controller to plug into the Laser Active. This really is one of the craziest, most high-end gaming contraptions of the early 90s. So, with this system you had access to the Mega Drive, Mega CD, PC Engine and its CD libraries. That is a lot of potential different games you could play. However, now we have gone over all of that, I guess it is time to look at some of the games which came on the Laserdisc media itself. A peculiar fact regarding these games is that different Laserdisc based games can be played based on which expansion modules you happen to own. So some can be played with just the Laser Active itself, however some require either the PC Engine or Sega modules to be able to run them. Now let's start by looking at Pyramid Patrol, one of the more well-known games on the system. Pyramid Patrol is a first-person rail shooter created by Taito, where, as you expect, you play as a small craft trying to shoot its way to victory. I personally think the game has some beautiful aesthetics compared to many 3D games I have seen previously from this period. I would gather this is due to the fact that all of the 3D in the game is in fact pre-rendered as full motion video, overall making the whole thing look like a game, which is a breath of fresh air I suppose in comparison to the likes of Sewer Shark. Rocket Coaster is an interesting looking game which is clearly reminiscent of F-Zero. Whilst the game reportedly does not function or play anywhere near as well, once again the pre-rendered graphics are a sight to behold within the game. The Pioneer Laser Active offers some pretty unique games and this is one of them. Hyperion is yet another on-rail shooter, however this time it is set in space. The game features plenty of psychedelic pre-rendered backgrounds and is in my opinion once again a treat for the eyes. You have to love full motion video, eh? What a wonderful thing it was. This game, along with the others, just looks so drastically different from anything I could have experienced on the Super Nintendo at the time. High Roller Battle is, yes, you guessed it, another on-rail shooter. This time around though, you get to play as an Heliportera. Annoyingly, in this game, apart from it being on rails, you do not control the Heliportera's movement at all. You simply focus all of your efforts onto shooting. This game, like others in this list, once again is bloody impressive looking for its time of release. Vajra is yet another game in the on-rail shooter genre, which seems to be synonymous with the Laser Active. In this game, you play as just a crosshair and make your way through stages with 3D backdrops destroying Transformer-like robots. Two other very well known and very expensive games for the Laser Active are its own versions of both Time Gal and Road Avenger. These two Sega games look much crispier than what can be found when playing them on the Mega CD. The picture quality of the Laserdisc versions of these games looks great in comparison to their Sega add-on counterparts, making these titles overall very sought after. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was some of the history, functions, and games of the pioneer Laser Active. This little bugger has a lot going for it, so you may be asking yourself now, why bother owning a Mega Drive, a Mega CD, a PC Engine, and its console add-on when you can experience all this and more on the Laser Active anyway? Well, the big answer to this question is pricing. If you want a Laser Active along with the two main modules, you are easily looking at paying over £1,000, which is far more than those platforms' combined cost. As mentioned earlier, you cannot access all of the Laserdisc-based games without buying these modules either, and even if you have it all, the cost of each game is now a fortune in itself. The Laser Active, to this day, remains one of the highest end options in all of gaming, and will continue to be remembered as an expensive platform that can do a lot of great things. Once again, a big thank you to Quang from Asobi Tech for letting me feature his hardware in this video, and thank you to each and every one of you who watched this content today. If you enjoyed today's content, then I make stuff like this every weekend for you to indulge in. If you want to see every video I release, then be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay notified. Further to this, it would be lovely to hear your thoughts on this hardware within my comment section. My channel, Top Packed Gaming Man, is partly funded from the fantastic support and donations I receive from my top-notch Patreon supporters. So shoutouts in the credits to Carl Johnson, Suzuka Kobayashi, Greg Hooper, Richard Clark, Harold Webb, Sin Spaces, Kevin Verhaley, David Mountford, Andrew Bazanski, Edward O'Reilly, Michael Keneally, Tom Elliott, Mark S. Hines, Gary Pinkett, The Gaming Muso, Sponge Matt B, Quang DX, Stuart McDermott, Nash Quad, Michael Baker, and all of my other patrons. You are making my dreams more realistic by the day.